everybody, whether you're on the East Coast, West Coast, or around the world. This is Coast to Coast. Got everybody here. What's happening, guys?
Hey, listen, I am all excited for Hofstra. I think the Hofstra guy up there is really excited. You know, I can imagine he's ready to go.
Yes. I'm showing my pride. Yes. I'm showing my pride for Hofstra tomorrow when we play.
That was hilarious.
Exactly.
Are you a fan? No.
It just caught me so off guard. I was like, I'm not doing this right if she thinks I'm a fan of Hofstra.
You know, it's because of the way you said it. So, good morning, everybody. Welcome in.
Have you done your bracket? Have you done a bracket at all?
Me, no. I'm going to, this morning after this show, because Keith wants me to join his thing. So I'm like, you know what? It's fine. I'll flame out super early because I've paid zero attention this time around. So my picks are going to be awesome.
Sometimes that translates the best, though. The people that know the least do the best.
It does happen sometimes.
Yeah. And I will tell you, I'm always a guy that trusts records more than I do seeding. So when you see a big disparity in the records, like when you see one of these small market teams and small colleges that have won like 28 games and 28 and 6, and then they're going up against a team that's only won 21 games. And then you look at they usually show. Yeah, they usually show this team is scoring 70 points a game. They're playing against miserable teams or not very good teams, so to speak. But your talent is your talent, and ultimately, if they're scoring 80 points in a game and the team that they're playing against is scoring only about 70 points a game, makes me think that, it's a good chance that they could get upset.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, when you're looking at upsets for the first round, yeah, there's always some of that, right? Besides the bad teams, don't know they're supposed to be bad.
Well, now no
Yeah.
in the it's like $3 million. So a little ahead of the game that can unbeat a team that's
But like for deals not getting because you've had guys, I mean, before you change.
big on contract, kind of the NFL. That was a good segue.
It was very dramatic.
Okay, or awkward.
Activated. We were like,
I'm with you. Yeah, no, he about me rather than giving him or that kind of. I would expect that those guys, because this isn't like you just randomly arrived, right? Like this is a planned visit. It seems like those would be the two guys you see immediately. Is the guys that just gave up a bunch to come get you. And so he goes on to say that he didn't see either one of them until after the physicals, some 5 hours later. And then when he did meet up with the coach, he said the vibe was weird. And, then they take him up to the GM's office and essentially told him that they're going to pivot. They're going to go a different route and that his physical wasn't good. So obviously for the player that plays some mental games because you're like, oh man, what did their doctors find that maybe mine didn't? And his doctors reassured him that he's exactly where he's supposed to be. And, essentially this just looks like another bad faith deal from Baltimore.
yeah.
And they're good at that right now. They're good at that. They're just straight out lying to people. It's what goes around comes around. And it's funny because online you have all the fans of Baltimore talking about how they're playing chess with everybody else playing checkers. Actually, they're not playing chess or checkers. They're playing shoots and ladders.
They're playing sorry.
And that's kind of what's happening there. And it's only going to be a matter of time. There's a reason why this team ain't won a Super Bowl. And maybe now it's because they don't have the right people in place and they're doing things improperly. Because all that stuff that happens, to Max and well, now Hendrickson's available, so we're going to go that route. We're going to give him that money, and we're going to make sure that we have our 2 first-round picks back because we didn't want to give them up in the first place. It's like that's. And then I feel like that physical. He failed that physical before he even did anything.
Oh, no question. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. That was a pre-fail before he even got in the room. Like they would have been better off to be like, hey, we're going to send a doctor out to you.
Yes.
And then just like hire Dr. Ned from The Simpsons.
Yes.
And hi everybody, and be like, oh, he's dead. And
Max in the background going, no, I'm not. The problem also too is the fact that they didn't enter the room that late. Just really makes it sound like they were in the other room working on the Hendrickson deal before they talked to Max. And they were like, if we get this Hendrickson deal done, Max fails his physical. You know what I mean? It just sounds like you get a star player that you've traded 2 picks for and you're not in the room when he gets there. Yeah, we're working on something else and we're making sure before we get it. Because if the Hendrickson deal falls apart, then maybe it's like, okay, maybe we stick to the Crosby deal. And when we go in there, we have a different vibe. But it does sound like, sorry, we had some stuff going on over here.
And it is rumored that Hendrickson was in the room when Crosby was there.
Yeah, see, that makes it even worse.
Not literally in the room for those of you listening, but in the building.
Right.
So, and if that's true, that's even worse.
Yeah.
And that just goes to show me, like, hey, listen, I understand for Hendrickson because he's going after the money. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter who he plays for. The money's the money. And that was the reason why he left Cincinnati in the first place. But it's and them talking about the physical. The first thing I would have done if I was Max was I would have gotten independent physical and shown that, hey, listen, they're full of it.
Yeah.
They are completely full of it. And ultimately, the Raiders should have jumped in on that. The Raiders should really be jumping up and down about this. Now, I know that there's nothing that they can do because ultimately anything that's done in the legal tampering period is not official until the league actually begins.
Exactly.
So there is a lot more of that could happen later on, that they are setting a very interesting precedent by playing this game a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, sort of. Because it could either set a new precedent, or it could be like the Browns signing Deshaun, where the rest of the GMs are like, yeah, this can't happen. Like we need to be able to work together. So this kind of crap doesn't fly moving forward. Like if you do this, you're immediately blackballed from ever doing a deal with me.
Right. And I have a feeling that that's what's really going to happen, that you're going to see. And isn't it funny that it seems to be that division? It's like there's a reason why the Steelers seem to be the winners of that division most of the time. And they are the class of that division because they are the ones that have the longevity of the people in the executive positions. Obviously, you could say that that the Rooneys are frugal with their money, and that they don't like doing certain things. But you've got Cincinnati, who is typically known as the cheapest franchise in the NFL. You've got the Cleveland Browns that are the let's just face it, they're the dog of the NFL. You know what I mean? They're the dog. They're the stray dog that gets beat all the time. And then now you've got Baltimore playing these weirdo games.
Yeah.
It's all in one division. You don't hear any of this stuff in any other division. I mean, you got the Jets and Miami, and they're playing their weirdo games. And you think about all the gamesmanship that happened between Miami and the high-level gamesmanship when you have an owner going to go get a massage, and all of a sudden that day there's a raid. You know what I mean? It's like that. You know how tough it is to get that all planned out all at one time?
Yeah, no, that's
scripted is what that is. That's scripted. So ultimately, I mean, think about all that gamesmanship. And then to have a wide receiver, a number one pick wide receiver, traded for nothing because of it. There was a whole bunch of stuff going on behind the scenes. So listen, there's all this weirdo stuff that happens that we don't ever get to see anyways, because Roger Goodell is very good at his job.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
we also don't get to see it because we don't have enough zeros in our bank account.
Yeah.
Like I have the right number of zeros. They're just after the decimal point. And so that doesn't really help a whole
lot. Mine are also before the decimal point. There's just no other numbers in front of them.
What is that negative?
Yes. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, no, it's unfortunate. I mean, and it's in a way, like it can be good for the Raiders, right? Obviously, they would have liked the number one picks, but Crosby is that guy, right? So they were going to have to figure something out for their defense anyway. They get him back. It does sound like they're going to have just enough money to cover all of their deals anyway. So, that's encouraging. Not to say that they wouldn't still move on from Crosby, like if the right deal came through. But after all of this, I think his value drops.
I think you see a day of trade.
Sure.
That's like you're going to get that pick in the first round. Yeah. So it's like you're going to see, hey, Indianapolis, you're on the clock. And 5 minutes later, you're going to see Indianapolis has traded the pick to Las Vegas. Las Vegas is now on the clock.
Mhm.
Because you never get to hear, when you're in that circle, you don't hear what happened. You just
Yeah.
hear that there was a trade. Like, I didn't find out A.J. Brown was traded until 2 picks later that we got A.J. Brown.
Right.
And because the Wi-Fi is not very good either, like, it has to come from out in the crowd into the inner circle because there's so much going on in interference that you can't check your phones at the time. So it took a couple of picks before we realized that we traded our pick for A.J. Brown.
Right. I didn't
I
realize
gotcha.
that.
I mean, it makes sense because you have all the broadcast equipment in there, so they're going to be
Right.
dominating.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So it's so understood. I mean, I get it. You know what I mean? And trust me, I wouldn't want to be out in the crowd. I'd rather be right where I am, which is, than taking my phone and going over to the Tennessee group and having them all stick up their fingers at me saying how much I'm number one. That it was a great pick for us. Thank you very much. I got to troll them. And that went viral for me at that time because everybody loved the fact that they were all very unhappy about that.
As they should have been.
That is correct. That is correct. But so yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see, but I think it would be a day one trade.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I could see that. Like, especially if it's somebody that, the guy they were really targeting is off the board. And they're like, hey, you know what? Let's just go get our guy. We could gamble later, but we could just go get Crosby. Like, I could definitely see that. I could see that being true for A.J. Brown, honestly. If somebody were to, they didn't hit on the first receiver in this draft and they're like, hey, you know what? We feel like we're one guy away. Let's go do this thing. Kind of like what the Broncos are doing right now with Waddle. That trade seemed a little expensive for him, but at the same time, you are a quarterback injury away from being in the Super Bowl last year. So they're doing that Rams idea of who cares about these picks? Let's go win. And so, it's only dumb if it doesn't work, right? So if they go win a ring, you're going to look at it and be like, yeah, makes sense. And if they don't, you're going to be like, oh, you're the Saints. So, I mean, it's, so yeah, I don't know. We'll see how that pays off. But I mean, a first and a third isn't ridiculous for Waddle anyway. He is one of the better, rip the top off receivers in the league anyway.
Yeah, but a day one, a day two, and a day three pick. 1, 3, and 4. So the first and the third, yes, but the 4th round pick is what I also see in that as well. It's a lot.
But it's not, because the 4th was just a pick swap.
Got you.
So they didn't give up a 4th. They just traded positions on the 4th. And they would have been a late 4th anyway, so who cares?
Yeah. And you've seen a lot more of it, but sometimes, like the Commanders tried to do it. And then, like you said, an injury away and then their season tanked. But a lot more teams are doing that. Their quarterback does a little bit better than what they think early on. And they're like, all right, let's capitalize before we have to pay this guy. So,
well, I mean, that's the thing, right? Is you're just shoving the chips to the middle and you're like, hey, you know what? Our best chance to win is right now. We should have been there anyway, except for like a last second broken ankle, which, I mean, dang, and now I don't think they would beat the Seahawks this year anyway, but when you're that close already, you have a couple of pieces that were missing from your team, right? I mean, the Rams just did the same thing. Their secondary wasn't good. So what did they do? Fix it. The Niners, similarly, they had needed some receiver help and they went and made that happen. So,
I will say that Denver going up against Seattle would have been an entirely different game. I think it would have been more fun. And I think that New England led most of the season.
Yeah.
So they didn't play from behind. So when they got behind, they didn't have a good plan to get back in. Denver was behind most of the season and would come back. So I think that it would have made very interesting fourth quarter. I think the game would have been very similar, where like feeling out for 3 quarters and then let's try to open it up because hey, there's still a game to win here.
Mhm.
It may have made things happen faster in that regards. I just don't think. I think New England just didn't have the type of team that could fall behind and catch up. Where I
Right,
thought
for sure.
Denver might have been able to do better in that regards.
Yeah. Well, you also have two totally different quarterback play. Like both of them can scramble a little, but like Drake May is scrambling to run and Bo Nix is scrambling just run around and make something happen, almost like a Kyler Murray-esque. So to your point, when they're behind, like he doesn't let that affect him. He's just like, that's fine. I'm gonna run here, play some sandlot, find somebody open, and we'll still move it. So
Cam throwing some hate out here. Walker's not going to be bad for the Chiefs. We'll just see if he can stay healthy because we haven't seen him really do that. But
and speaking of quarterbacks changing position, yes, changing teams, the Eagles have given up a 7th-round pick for the Red Rifle.
okay,
He comes in to Philly, listing as probably the number 2 quarterback. It was really interesting when I heard that this occurred, and they gave up a 7th-round pick, which is nothing. Obviously, I don't. Yeah, it's like they have. I think they even have like extras from compensatory picks, so it's not that big of a deal. But it made me think of Tanner McKee. What's the story now with Tanner? And I know the last game that he played was not a good showing of what he was capable of, that he has done better in the past. And that makes me think that he is about to get traded to a different team. That's what I believe. I can't guarantee that. Obviously, I am not in that room, but I wouldn't be surprised if they trade Tanner for a 3rd-round pick somewhere, or maybe even a very early 4th-round pick. People have mentioned Arizona, also possibly the Jets. That the Jets have shown some interest.
I don't see Arizona because they just went and got Minshew, right? So they have Brissett and Minshew and just the land of misfit toys. So I don't think they're doing that.
That's why I actually do think them, because that's a real competition that he could possibly win. And a 4th-round pick in Arizona, I mean, yeah, they need assets and stuff like that, but I mean, Minshew is coming off of an injury, and we're not sure when he's going to be ready.
I just don't think they're trying to win at all, which is, I think they are in tank mode to go get a quarterback. So I don't think they're going to go buy a quarterback for no reason. They seem like a team that legitimately is like, hey, we're just going to destroy this whole thing, which good job, you have. But, so they look like they're trying to go get the number 1 pick.
Oh, for sure. The quarterback draft will be better next year. I mean, they could always pick up a late round guy this year and just take a flyer on a guy. But absolutely, I think next year. Plus, you look at your timetable, you're probably better trying to wait out, Seattle and the Rams for a couple of years versus trying to get into that mix, next year or the year after. Like, you're not catching them. Yeah. You guys have been wasting too much time. So
the other 3 teams are way too much better than Arizona. Yeah. Like, you're not going to try and Band-Aid your way into this division this year.
Right. It's going to take way too much to surpass all 3. So
embrace the suck and know that this year and next year probably ain't it. And, start your rebuild for real.
Yeah, have a long-term vision. I think that's the problem. A lot of these guys think year to year, and they really need to be thinking, all right, we need like 3 years in advance here. What are we doing to build towards that moment?
The problem is the league has become year to year. So like, even if you're like, okay, we have this 3-year plan, they're like, well, you didn't win this year, so you're fired. And you're like, well, wait a minute. We weren't gonna win this year. Yeah. Right. No, it has become such a not even what have you done for me lately? It's like, what have you done for me in the last 4 minutes? Like,
Yes.
it's crazy.
Well, and that's why I, you know, when some of these coaches get chosen, and like when I think about New Orleans specific, and it's like he had to go down there and know that, like, listen, you have to give me 5 years. This isn't a 3-year plan. This is a 5-year plan, because the first 2 years we're figuring out how we actually become a year or two away. You know what I mean? Like that's there's so much that's got to change. And, ultimately, like, when you are the coach of the Patriots and they're so used to winning, and the culture in the executive offices is already kind of set in place because you had the best quarterback in the league for so long.
Right.
And now he's gone. You flounder for a little bit, but now you've got somebody back in there who knows exactly what the culture was like before, starts to reset it to back in that way. Well, now you have now it goes back to teams that drink together, win together. And I feel like that's what happened with the Patriots. The Patriots became cohesive because they have that culture already in place.
Right.
There's teams that do that well. There's teams that do that poorly. And ultimately, the great teams stay great for a lot longer. And that's why, like, for instance, the 49ers seems like it's always next man up, where it's like everybody gets hurt, but yet they're still winning games. That's a culture. That's not just, okay, yeah, we're getting lucky here. Seattle, a little different. I mean, like I said, Seattle rode the train and were able to do well. They weren't, it wasn't step by step to get there. We didn't think at the beginning of the season that Seattle was going to win the Super Bowl. There was nobody who picked them to win the Super Bowl, including the guy who lives there.
Yeah, no, I had them as a wild card divisional round exit.
Right. And you were the only one to really have them in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like we were expecting that. We expected more from the 49ers. We expected the Rams to be good and that they were going to be the ones that won that division. And, it's, again, that goes more to the coaching. I feel like the coach got the right people in place to be able to get that to all work. And now you have a Super Bowl championship behind you. Now that you're not playing a third place schedule, you're going to be playing a first place schedule. Is it going to be able to be repeatable? We will see.
I mean, it's going to be tough enough just to get out of the division.
Yeah.
So, and Brad, the Raiders get Mendoza, right?
Yeah,
like, I mean,
absolutely.
the thing about that is you almost have to draft him because you don't have your answer at quarterback. And if you pass on him and he's great, you are certainly getting fired. Yep. And if you pick him and he's not, you're like, hey, you know what? We needed a quarterback. We had the number 1 pick. He was the best guy coming out, wins the Heisman, wins national championship. Like, when you look at that, you're not going to get barbecued because you took a national championship a national champion that won the Heisman. No, like, nobody's going to look at that and be like, oh, you shouldn't have taken. It's like, I mean, he has every accolade you're supposed to have for us to draft you number 1. So, but if you pass on him and he is great, that will follow you to any job ever thereafter. So,
see, there again, I feel a little differently about that. I feel like that if you pass on him, but you trade that pick for 3 first-round picks, at that point, you have now solidified your chances. And you want to trade with somebody who is definitely, close. You're trading, you're going to trade that first-round pick that's maybe number 5 now. And, next year's, pump potentially top 5 pick again, because now you're choosing a quarterback over fixing some of the other holes that you have. I mean, I just feel like there's so many holes in Vegas that it's worth it to try to trade out. And if I was the GM, I'd be considering that.
No, if you trade back obviously yes, right? Because then you can look at the assets and be like, look, we needed a quarterback, but we also needed like 33 other humans. So
Right.
we stepped back and we just realized it's the long-term build. But if they draft somebody else at that position, at that number one spot, that's what I was talking.
Yeah, that's a no bueno.
Yeah. I think that the argument is basically Mendoza's going number one. So both arguments are kind of right. Mendoza's going number one. The Raiders currently have it. I totally agree. If I was them, I would love to trade out of that. Because, I mean, it ended up working out for the Bears. They traded out of the number one spot, got all their haul. And then the next year, kind of like to your point, still drafted the quarterback they wanted at number one. And like you said, everyone's thinking next year's draft is going to be much better for quarterbacks. And you're not a quarterback away from making this whole thing work, next year. So, no, I would absolutely. It's just, I think if people look at the flip side of that, the Panthers traded all that to get into the number one and pick their quarterback. And it still took them 3 years to get everything else and recoup the assets that they traded, because they also traded the number one wide receiver way to do it. Took them 3 years to draft another one. Like, I don't think the other teams should give away a haul for Mendoza when they have just as many holes, around the quarterback. So that's something you said in your earlier argument, which makes it worse for these teams, is the Patriots getting a new coach and new culture and turning everything around in a year and going to the Super Bowl. Now the teams like the Cardinals are sitting there going, well, they did it. Can't we do it? Even though they don't have the other things in place. Now they're like, oh, can't we turn it around that quick? And where the rest of us like, no, you can't.
They're also probably not going to play a schedule that only had 3 coaches survive the year. So, and one of those coaches should have been fired in Zach Taylor. So, I mean, it's and the other 2 coaches were first-year coaches. So, I mean, they
had the easiest schedule
all time
going forward. But then also, and then like you think about just how they got into the Super Bowl, how fate has it that in the last play of the divisional round, the quarterback breaks his ankle. So now you're going up against a team that's got no quarterback. You have a guy who's playing for a lot of money who didn't play so well.
Yeah, well, and then you had CJ Stroud that forgot how to play football in the postseason. I mean, they had a lot of things go their way. It was actually the only thing I was a little worried about. I was like, are they going to make the Seahawks bus crash or something? And because I mean, you start looking at the teams they played and then they're passed through the playoffs and you're like, the other team had every bad possible scenario happen. And so it's like, the Seahawks were far and away a better team, but I'm like, man, I don't know. Like, there's some weird stuff going on. Like, then all of a sudden, those conspiracy theories do start to creep in your head a little bit.
It's kismet. You know what I mean? Like, there's magic happening, voodoo and whatever. So I get it. And do I think that New England's going to have a similar season? No chance. I think that they are going to come back down to earth a little bit. I mean, obviously, they just did win a Super Bowl. You still have that, they got there. So you have that experience that's there that they can rely on now. People like playing for that coach. So it's not, you have turnover in Buffalo.
That's still a 10-win team. Like, they're not a juggernaut by any means, but they're a 10-win team. Like, they have a solid squad.
Mm-hmm. Well, plus every other coach in that division got, changed.
Exactly.
So it's like there's turnover everywhere else. So that's going to play for something there. It's just going to be interesting. I think. I feel that they are, they're obviously the best run franchise in that division. And that's going to hold weight.
Oh, no question. And Brian, it was good. It was I just worked a lot. It's I didn't do anything cool at all. But I appreciate it. Texans ever going to win the Super Bowl? I mean,
he just said even just go.
Or just go.
Can get him there.
So I mean, going, there's a chance. Winning, I don't know. Like, they're going to have to figure out how to get CJ Stroud to be consistent. At least, like, he can't be so hot and cold.
Yeah,
especially in big moments.
Get him there.
Yeah. He's like the new version of Kirk Cousins, it's more athletic. Like, soon as the lights are real bright, it hasn't looked real good. So,
with the
what hurt
defense,
them
you don't
this
need to be
year-
great with. You just need to be not terrible at times.
exactly.
Sorry,
Exactly.
Mixon not being Mixon hurt them tremendously. They needed a running game to go along. They could not put everything on CJ Stroud's back, and that's what occurred. I think he's a good enough quarterback, but when he has to carry all of the water, he does not water. Excuse me. Let me try to phonetically do that right instead of having my Philly accent.
Water.
Water. You know, when he's got to do it all, he's not going to be he's not that guy. And I think that's what you saw with that. If they had a competent backup that could have come in the second half, they would have possibly made that game more interesting, because the defense was still playing. It was just that they were so frustrated with CJ just giving up the ball and them having to, you know, only defend 30 yards. And I think that it was one of those games where if they had anybody else who could play quarterback for a minute, that they could have maybe sat him down for a little bit and like said, listen, we're just going to try something else right now. And it may have worked, because I mean, his receiver was hurt. They had no running game. It's, you know, there's a lot that was going on, but he still was throwing directly to defenders.
Right. And I think that was the biggest problem. Had he just thrown some away in some of these positions or whatever, or just sat on it and punted, they're in a much better position. And they had played Mills, several games that year, and he won some. It was a great comeback, wasn't it, against the Jags too as well. So not a great quarterback, but a guy in a pinch for, you know, not a guy who I want started for my whole season. You're just trying to get a half out of him. And like I said, all you're saying is, look, man, just don't turn the ball over. Don't be terrible. And we've got a chance to win this. You know, I wouldn't have pulled CJ Stroud, so I can't really, you know, say that. That's a really, really tough decision, but it was awful.
and Nico, you said that joke yesterday. It wasn't funny then.
Yeah, it's why I didn't get on the screen that time either. So, and Brian, I do like Kenneth Walker to KC. It fixes some issues for them. He's a better blocker than Pacheco was, and you know, they get to use their 2 number ones to go get a new corner and an offensive lineman. So I think that move for them is actually great. I think he's making too much money for somebody that does have a pretty consistent injury history. But he's still an upgrade from what they had. So,
do you think that they go running back in the draft?
Who? Seattle?
Seattle.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, because I fully expect them to move off of that 32nd pick in the first round, because somebody's going to want that to be able to tie up somebody for a 5th year. I think they move back into the second round, and then they grab there's going to be a couple of pretty solid running backs in the second round, and they like to draft running backs in the second round. Walker was a second round pick. Charbonnet was a second round pick. So yeah, I fully expect them to grab a guy. The only thing that's a little interesting with this one is they only have 4 picks. So they have a first, a second, a third, and a 6th. And that's it. So that's also why I think they want to move off of that first round to try and grab a 4th,
a couple more.
You know, exactly. So if they can grab a couple, you know, a couple other picks out of it, depending on where that second round pick is. But
like
I
a
could
2,
see
a 6, and a 7, maybe.
Yeah, right. Like, and I could see the Raiders doing that, right? If the Raiders find an offensive lineman that they like and they want that 5th year option on him, because they're like the 5th. I think they're the 5th pick in the second round. So I could see a team like that, you know, give up a couple of things to help solidify, you know, somebody to anchor that offensive line, because it needed some help.
I can absolutely see that. Yeah. Or for somebody like Ty Simpson, who are, you know, they're thinking later in the round, somebody trade back in, kind of like they would Jackson Dart, to get into the later part of the first round to get him. and then you get those picks, and then you only have one running back going in the first round. So second and third round will be you'll still have your pick of people. Get your draft board. Say here, there's a top 3 guys, and you got Charbonnet, who you think is going to be your lead back. So you're not looking for a lead back. You're thinking, I just need a guy to help spell this guy. So
exactly. They did grab a running back. I forget his name offhand now, but from Green Bay in free agency. So I mean, they did, try to shore that room up a little bit. They still have Halani as well. So I mean, like, they're going to be fine. It's a running back room that is always running back by committee anyway. So, but yeah, I do expect them to grab a running back probably in the second round there. Or if for whatever reason running backs aren't coming off, then they'd use their third round pick for it.
Right. Which I could see.
We'll see. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I also believe that they, I wouldn't be surprised if they were to trade future picks, not from the 26 draft, but maybe from the 27 draft, and move up a few spots to try to, if they have somebody targeted in the first round.
So the first round is weird this year, though. So unless you are at the top of the first round, right? Like, Love is going to be gone in the first 5 or 6 picks. Right?
Oh, I'm not saying that they would pick a running back.
Well,
so
no,
you wouldn't.
But what I mean is, your top corner is going to be a top 10 guy. And then, you have a receiver that's going to be like a top 15. You're not going to give up the assets to move up that high. And then everybody else from that point is going to be trench warfare, right? It's going to be offensive and defensive line. You're not going to see more skill positions really until the second round anyway. So there's really not a huge incentive to move up. This first round is going to be dominated by the Lions. Just based on the lack of like skill positions in this draft. Right. Not to say that the line play is going to be off the charts or anything. They just happen to be better than the skill positions this time.
I agree. It's going to be interesting.
It's also
it always is
that after the top 10, you don't have to reach for a guy because the talent drop off from like really about the 12th or 15th pick through middle of the second round really isn't much. So a guy that you're getting at 25 is the same caliber guy you're getting at 35.
Yeah. This is where you got to do your little research a little bit more.
In this draft.
Yeah. It feels like there's a lot of teams kind of waiting for next year and a couple more stars and a couple more positions. So, and then NIL is also, guys are staying for that extra year versus going. I mean, you look like a Dante Moore who had a chance to come out maybe the second pick, and he was like, not going to the Jets. I'll just wait another year and get paid in college. So the drafts are just changing a lot these days.
I mean, to be fair, if I was a quarterback, I was going to go second overall,
absolutely.
and it was to the Jets. I'm also going back to school for a second.
Yeah. I'd go back anywhere. Like Miami, Ohio. Yeah, I think I'm just going to stay in Miami, Ohio for one more year. I'm good with it. So anything to avoid that.
Yeah, but again, I mean, I get it. The Jets are obviously not the place I'd want to go play, and I wouldn't want to go Cleveland or anything like that. But not everybody is Manning, that can, or John Elway, that they can choose their franchise.
Well, no, but you can't go back to school.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He just went back to school. Yeah, he never publicly said anything about the Jets, so that's all conjecture on our part. We're just saying he looked at that board. They had that Nike money up in Oregon.
Yeah,
and said, if you want to come back one more year, we've got a chance to win a national championship, or you could stay in the draft and go to the Jets. And plus, now you're thinking if the Jets do get a quarterback somewhere in there, that takes them off the board for next year. You've kind of improved your odds. So he never said it. We're just going, he definitely thought.
He never said it, but it's pretty easy to read this.
Read the tea leaves there. It's
back to school. It says I would get drafted to Oregon.
So,
got to go back to school again.
And if you were the kid that just transferred to Oregon, you got to be bummed out, right?
Yeah,
because you're like,
Raiola,
NFL. I'm going to get this offense. It's going to be great. And Moore's like, hey, so I'm not going to New York. And again, rightfully so, right? Like the last thing you'd want to do is get drafted by the two franchises that historically destroy quarterbacks' careers, which is the Jets and the Browns, right? Like those are the two franchises. If you're getting drafted, you're like, okay, please don't do it. Please. Like, where's the voodoo doll that says I don't go here?
Right.
So,
right.
And it's so odd because the Jets didn't used to be that way.
Right.
You know, it's just like it's funny how, you know, the difference a day makes. Although this has been years in the making.
I mean, this is a lot of years now.
You know, like the Jets. I mean, when you had Mark Sanchez, who, you know, like I said, ever since the butt fumble.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really been since that moment in time. They have not been able to get anywhere near that. And, you know, they need like a Rex Ryan to go in there and maybe change the culture back, or new ownership. They just need new ownership. Gary V has got to go in there and start to, you know, exude his dominance. He just doesn't have $8 billion to go try to make that happen. And he doesn't want to do it anything. He doesn't want to deal with the, you know, Johnson family because they know better. You know, they're Jerry Jones of New York.
No, I mean, ownership is definitely the issue, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you've had everything else cycle through. The only consistent is the ownership. So, you know, that's like if you date somebody and you're like, oh, she's crazy. But if like everyone you've dated is crazy, I'm gonna say you might be the problem.
Yeah. No,
I guess speaking of resolving problems for the last 10 minutes, we got to get into it a little bit because we talked about it very, very briefly yesterday. But this is the WNBA is going to play.
They're going to play. They're going to play. They got their work cut out for them to hit the starting date on time. But like it's going to be a sprint to try and get players on teams and on the floor by training camp on the 19th. Right. So, I mean, like they got some work. That being said, that CBA does sound pretty good. Obviously, we don't have exact numbers for anything yet. Those haven't been released, but the Supermax contract that A'ja Wilson is projected to get the first one of is supposed to be about 1.4 million. So that's pretty great. Salary cap is projected to be around 7 million for the team. And then the biggest jump is going to be the rookie deals that, you know, your number one overall pick was making 79-ish, but your average rookie was making 66,000. That's going to jump up to around 300K. And then your average salary across the league is going to be about 600,000 up from about 110, 120. So, I mean, significant bump in pay. But the biggest, probably most important part of this is they got most of the way of what they wanted. They still retain the housing for the rookies, but they're not going to destroy the momentum this league has had over the last couple of years by missing time. And that's probably the most important piece of this is they're not going to disrupt that because it would have set them back so far to miss time.
Oh, absolutely. We'd been saying that for a while. And it's funny, you know, both of y'all had mentioned this. It's funny what happens when you guys actually sit down face to face and try to talk about stuff versus texting each other and Zoom calling each other and whatever else you're doing for meetings, you know, get in there, have a marathon session.
It sounded like they were in a room working through this until like 3 a.m.
Yeah. So,
I mean, it sounded like it was a grueling thing to make happen anyway. But they get it done. That's the most important part. They get it done. So now you just you got to make some teams.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and it'll be interesting, I guess, because there will be a flurry of action happening now. I guess they still have to wait for the ratification.
Yep.
So they can't do anything until that point. So nobody can sign anything. Now they're all probably talking and agents are,
Yes.
on their phone and doing all that stuff. And ultimately, what I like about what everything that you had said though is that they're not going to have to go out and get a job
Yes.
outside of playing basketball. And I think when all is said and done, that was really what was most important to these women. That this isn't the 60s in football when everybody is, you're making $45,000 a year, and in the off season you're, working in the concrete factory,
Exactly.
like Concrete Charlie. You know what I mean? Like this is a different world now, and you already have seen what these other leagues are doing and showing and making money. And you know you can't. $500 million was paid by the Philadelphia franchise to come in.
Mhm.
No, you can't just, all right, everybody gets to put that money in their pocket and bye. You know what I mean? Like it's that, which is what it sounded like to me. And you got these $1 billion deals that are happening and so on and so forth. That money needed to get taken care of. What I didn't hear from all the things that you were talking about was, did it go off of the net or the gross still?
That hasn't been released. So yeah, we don't
I don't
know
see it
exact
anywhere in the.
details.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I figure that will probably come out over the next couple of weeks. I think there's still elements that they're working through. They just have the initial agreed upon. So so I think there's going to be amendments to it and stuff like that. But I mean,
Right. Because how long is this ratified for? Like, how long is this period of peace? Is kind of what I look at this, because now this is the start. Ultimately, after this gets 100% ratified, we're now working towards the next one.
Right.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I mean, that's always true, right? I mean, as soon as the contract is done, you're like, okay, back to work.
Yeah.
So
right.
Yeah. Because they did plan because,
I mean,
like you said, the salary cap right now is 7, but it's supposed to grow to 10 by the end of this deal. So I think it's like 4 years is what I read somewhere in there. But to your point, like, yeah, we haven't gotten a lot of specifics. And I'm reading through the timeline. This timeline is crazy. Like the expansion draft's happening on April 1st, but then like free agency is going to be on like the 6th. So I guess even for your own free agents, you have to release a list and say, even though we haven't signed this person back, they're still on our list of people you can't go. And to Bo's point earlier, what he said, there's 100 free agents out there that they still have to sort. And then like right after this is the collegiate draft too. So this is wild.
Yeah, the timeline is ridiculous. Like it's going to be so hard, and when you're looking at it from the expansion side, it's like this You're like, yeah, anyone from our team because we don't, if we have like 2 players
Fine.
actually active because
Yeah,
everybody
but
else.
the Aces too. They were the monster teams that completed. That's what's out from the expansion.
So those were anywhere. There might be for sure, but a super team. You know what? Also,
Set up the contract, and Asia plays for.
you've won, even if it's an expansion. You wanted to go buy a ring. This is that year.
Yep.
Because you basically have all your players on the wall, and you're like, oh, well, I want you and you, and
Yep.
So yeah. That being said, that does get us to the top of the show. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. Helps us bring our stuff to you. If you're listening on the radio, 97.3 ICU Radio. Got some smooth jazz headed your way. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Take it easy, everybody.
Peace.